Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm just doing another video today. I did a version of this yesterday that I did not like, so I'm redoing this and I didn't upload it, thankfully. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a background. So when I first got really developed in puberty and so forth and everything like that, tattoos were getting to be I wouldn't say trendy at that point, but we're kind of seen as something, oh wow, this brand new thing, people getting tattoos. I only have one tattoo. I'm going to get more, I swear, one of these days. So anyways, we all know it's Man-O-War's Sign of the Hammer.
Very problematic now, isn't it? It's problematic. It's problematic. Problematic.
So anyways, do a little bit of Rufus McDoofus, my woke character that I have for this channel sometimes, which I don't do enough of, honestly. So this is the whole situation with the tattoo thing. I saw him pretty hot. I mean, I'm not saying full sleeves and facial tattoos or something with huge gauges that have horns sticking through them that are 4 feet long or something like that. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying tattoos on women. Always thought it was delectable, honestly. So, but it comes to be in 2024. Where we have this increasing, I don't want to use the I word because I hate this word, and I've been accused of being this myself for having certain opinions or spouting certain opinions. Incel. To me, an incel is actually not having sex, despite what the slang, redefinition of the term is. If a person has sex, they're not an incel. Maybe they're incel-like or adjacent, like the millennials like to say.
They're adjacent.
So this whole idea of that word has just been corrupted, just like racist or Yahtzee or sort of fascist or even communist too. I mean, from the right. I'm going to call out both in this video. So the dare I say though, I think this demographic of man is, I'm just going to say, boy or man boy for that matter, is probably predominantly white, male, cis, straight, whatever you want to call it, and young-ish, because my demographic doesn't feel this way, obviously, for the most part, because we were kind of raised to like tattoos on women. And so when I first saw this, I started seeing it in forums and comments on posts and stuff, various social media platforms, including YouTube. And it's
women with tattoos are so unattractive. It's so terrible. I don't want a woman with tattoos. It's horrible. It's horrible.
And I'm just this kind of reminds me of this whole body count, not the band, controversy. So you'll have guys that take it to the extreme, just like saying that I'm a groomer for dating a 26-year-old when I was 42, or I'm a groomer for dating a 19-year-old when I was 24. I've seen that. That's actually happened. I've seen people say that kind of shit. So people take it extreme with the body count thing.
I don't want a woman that's been with more than one guy in their life, and that was just a long-term relationship.
And I'm dude, your naivete is showing. Your probable, okay, want to call it incel or whatever, because this is why they probably are somewhat more attached to men that lack experience, a la incel, a la whatever, because with the body count thing. So first of all, I don't think by the time a woman, especially women that are post 60s or 70s, growing up in that era, is in college, they've probably been with an average 2 or 3 guys at least. Men the same probably, or maybe less now, depending. I mean, actually that's been bore out by statistics, which doesn't make sense exactly, but sort of does. So this reality is that women are not going to have this low body count that you are desiring. I mean, there is a limit. You don't want to be with the town's bicycle seat, maybe, even though certain people have, unfortunately. Maybe, I don't know. And I'm not going to say that about any of my people that I've been with. You know, they said it about themselves, so they're dooming themselves by saying that. A few people that have dated, a few women that have dated have said that, you know, they were such and such, you know, back in their younger years or whatever. So they're calling themselves out on that point. I would never say that if I were a woman. So that's to be determined, you know, by actual history. Which I don't know. So I don't know. So anyways, this whole idea that you're gonna have a woman with like a 1 or 2 body count is very naive and very unrealistic. I'd say 3 to 6, possibly more, probably more, especially if they're more attractive, more sociable, which ironically a lot of these men want, you know. The trad wife thing, the trad con thing is just so dubious to me, you know. That's what I'm saying. And then they add in this tattoo thing, like, no women with tattoos or piercings. I want a fresh flesh for my dick to get hard. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, first of all, it's personal taste. I like tattoos. I don't like, you know, I'm not saying that I want like all bunch of like BLM, ACAB face tattoos. Like I said, like with a huge gouge and like horns and weird septum things. And gouges and gauges, gouges. You know, I had a little inside joke about a guitar shop that I used to shop at, where I said gouge instead of gauge. So I didn't know how to pronounce gouge back in the day. So, or gauge, I mean. So like this whole idea is just this naivete, this inexperience, because most women, you know, now, I mean, huge percentage of women. How many demographics? It's like when I talk about the middle-aged incel, like, I can't date a woman with kids. I'm 50 years old, but I can't date a woman with kids. Okay, you're fucking yourself over by saying that, because most women that are a certain age have kids. By having the absolutism. I'm not saying like preference. I'm saying the absolutism, like never date a woman with kids. Oh no. Like if you're a certain age, I mean. This, like, I think it's like this, like, so you have a preference, but you have to have that open door, you know. Well, the door is a little more closed for those women, but you still have it open, because what are you gonna do? Just be like a incel the rest of your life? So this whole thing with tattoos bothers me. It just comes from this like trad con, like purity test kind of nonsense. Like this, it's like, oh, we got to go back to the 50s values, and yeah. And it's a very conservative, traditionalist thing. And I do, you know, I've been accused of being alt-right and right-wing and stuff for some of my various takes about gender or the COOF virus, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, it's kind of fluctuating, it's kind of fluid. I'm just saying, like, it's gender fluid. No, it's actually fluid. I mean, I'm actually evolving with some of my takes on that. But just to say, I don't like to talk about the COOF anymore, though, of course. I just don't like to think about it or talk about it. So I still hold a lot of the same opinions, not all of them, and they've kind of become more moderate, but, you know, nevertheless, in some ways, I mean. So nevertheless, you know, this whole thing is just really annoying. It's like, how many, you know, the lack of experience too, it's showing with both these opinions about body count. And I'm not saying you have to be, like I said, you can't, you know, a woman has 100 partners in their life and they've done cam work or something. I mean, you can maybe expect things to be more challenging. You know, if you really love this person, though, you shouldn't judge them like that. Especially if they're open about it. I'd say if they're not open about it, then maybe that's a red flag. But nevertheless, I think the expectation going to such an extreme, like, oh, I'm only going to date a girl that's a virgin. It's almost like an Islamist. The irony is these right-wing conservative types are like, Islam is the enemy. You know, a lot of them are like kind of neoconish about the stuff. And it's like, you sound like you're like an Islamic radical, you know, by saying, I want a pure, I'm going to be racist and doing an accent. I'm not going to do an accent for this. Okay, never mind. I want a pure, virginal woman to, you know, 26 virgins in heaven or whatever. It's like, just this looking down upon sexuality, and it's coming from both the right and the left. Like, I guess, you know, you could almost say like I'm a 90s libertarian feminist, sex positive beliefs that I have. You know, if you want to clump it all into this one category, definitely definitely not the same as what you would expect, maybe. So, you know, this whole idea is just so ridiculous. It's like, okay, you could think that tattoos are ugly or don't look great, and that's fine if your preference is not to have women with tattoos. But like, if you make it this absolute rule, like, oh, you haven't dated a woman with tattoos, they're horrible, they're destroying our society and our Western culture. I was about to say white, because a lot of them are racist secretly, you know. See, this whole thing about this right versus left, it's like Sydney Watson has some, there's like anti-spicy food thing from the left too, like, I mean from the right. It's like this, like Sargon of Akkad and Sydney Watson, like posting these memes about spices in food. There was a spicy food thing that I saw on Facebook today. It's like someone responded and said, well, they went to war about spices, the West, and like, that's awesome, you know. I don't know if that was all it was about, but you know, you'd have to look in the history and stuff. So this whole idea that, like, yeah, a lot of the right is actually racist underneath the surface, you know, like hating spicy food. Like, what the fuck, you know? This is where the right wing loses me. Of course, the left loses me on the lunatic fringe of their stuff, but at least culturally, you know, like maybe not as much economically, but definitely culturally. So I'm definitely libertarian, you know, middle ground, culturally, at least socially, culturally. If not, like, maybe further left than some of them too, in certain ways. Like, so yeah, this whole idea of tattooed women being ugly and terrible, and oh my god, they're such a threat to my sexual, like my lack of experience, you know. And then you go along with that, they're like, I'm gonna go to Thailand and get like a bride over there, and like they don't have tattoos, and they don't talk back, they don't want a job, they just want to be a housewife. Like, fuck off, man. Just fuck off, okay? There's a middle ground with everything, you know. And if someone wants a trad wife, okay, I'll give it to them, the trad wife. Women want to be trad wives sometimes, and that's fine. I'd say all power to them if they want to live in that. I actually kind of think it's cool. And some of these like women that are doing this like 50s trad wife aesthetic, like, I think that's kind of neat, you know. But just don't talk down upon people that want to do something else or want to do something else with their lives, and say that women that are with tattoos, like I've seen them say that they're trouble and bad people and all this stuff online. Like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Like, what do you expect? If you go out in any metropolitan area, I'm just going to say this. Most women, the majority of women that you would probably find attractive, have one tattoo somewhere and have been with 3 or 4 men, period. Probably more, usually. But, and I'm not saying that as a denigrating thing, but, you know, most women are with, you know, by the time, I mean, most people are supposedly with 6 or 7 people in their lifetime, which I don't believe that stat is really, I mean, it probably takes into account all the Christian conservatism in our country and stuff, but like, I'd say, like, you know, they've been with 9 men and one woman, you know, one long-term relationship, a few one-night stands. It's like, people, it's just this whole idea. It reminds me of like Christian people that I know, like this like naivete about reality, about what you're gonna get, you know, out there in the real world. And I'm not an expert, obviously. I'm not like super, you know, I'm not saying that I'm like super experienced. I'm just saying the limited experience that I have in comparison to other people, especially, you know, limited relationships that I've had, you know, which is more than your average incel, I would say. So I'm just saying. So, and, you know, talking and knowing women and talking to them and, you know, approaching them or whatever. I'm just saying, which I don't do enough of, by the way, of the latter. But anyways, it's the right way, which I'm going to working on, you know. So anyways, this whole idea is so just dubiously stupid. Like, I like tattoos, I guess. I'm not saying that I like super long sleeves and stuff like that, but you know, tattoos on women, they're hot. Depending, you know. Get a tramp stamp, you know, do certain things, gross stuff, but, you know, it's all right, you know, or whatever. They might have something in the, you know, on their chest or whatever. You know, I've had women, you know, I've had an ex-girlfriend that had like this Michelangelo thing tattooed on her. It's pretty awesome, you know. Like, well, I think art is great, and tattoos and body art. Now, are they trendy? Are they a little bit too ubiquitous in our society? Yes, of course. But do I think that the women that get them are just unattractive whores, like some of these guys are saying? Like, what the hell are you on, man? First of all, it's just like, it's a little too late to want to go back to like non-tat. Like, every woman in the world won't get a tattoo. It's a little too late. So you're projecting your own insecurities and your own, I'm going to use the M word, this warning, trigger warning, misogyny onto other people, onto women stuff. You know, I don't like women with tattoos, and I've been with more than one guy, but I'd rather have a virgin. Because I sit in my basement and I post on 4chan, and I play first person shooters. Fuck off. That's about all.